Last year, the industry was valued at $44 billion. And, I think this is a result of merging trends, social media, convergence in technology, lots of new tech around curation, around collaboration, and also the fact that the digital marketing and advertising markets are declining. So a lot of companies such as Content House have come out to help brands figure out what content marketing means and how to go about building trust and engagement through our processes. Typically, we work through a 7-step process looking at the brand, its messages, the audience, and targeting every message to what the audience believes, what their main drivers are, what their main pain points are, and then looking specifically at the right stories to tell, building out a story profile, for example, what is the problem, or who is the protagonist? There's a puppy. What is the problem? The puppy is in an animal shelter and they will die if you don't take them on. And what is the solution? You go and help the puppy. Then you look at collaboration tools and how you can pull the market in to work with you. And then finally you move on to where you place the content, the right places for your audiences, and how you amplify it. So that's kind of a top line on content marketing. But to look particularly about trust, widely held perspective in the market is that...
Just step back a bit. Just move it back a little bit. I'll turn up the volume so you're not popping it.
Okay, cool. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. All right. Whoa. Bit loud. Okay. At the back, can you hear me? Good, okay. So, trust. Widely held perspective in the market is that trust has diminished over time. And to some ways, that's true. There's certainly a lot more access to information now, which makes us question in a lot more detail the brands that are providing us. However, and this was brought out in a wonderful TED talk recently, the actual driver to get more trust is not necessarily an accurate one, on the basis that as consumers, we want to have control over our trust. We don't want to trust brands more who we don't think are trustworthy. So a key goal for us as brands and as content marketers is to be more trustworthy rather than to gain more trust. And I know that's splitting hairs to a certain point, but the goal of being more trustworthy and the action of being more transparent so that you're considered more trustworthy is a very key one. Every year, Edelman pull together a trust barometer, and they analyse a number of different points in the market to establish which brands are trusted, which politicians are trusted, which markets have certain beliefs. And there's some really useful information that's held within that every year. One key point for me is that Edelman benchmark trust across these key 16 attributes. I don't know how well this is rendering on the screen, so I'll run through them. There's 4 key engagement points: that you listen to customers' needs and feedback, that you treat your employees well, that you place your customers ahead of your profits, that you communicate frequently and honestly on the state of your business. Then there's integrity practices, that you have ethical business practices, that you take responsible actions to address an issue or crisis, that you have transparent and open business practices. Then there's products and services key drivers, related to innovation and quality and really resonating with what you're giving people. There's purpose, that you are clear around the fact that you want to help people, that you want to help the environment, that you are responsible in terms of your CSR, your tax, your profits. And then there's your operations, that you're rated highly in terms of the way you treat your people, that you're considerate in terms of your processes and outsourcing. So, a key element of all of this trust building is engagement, and this is typically what comes first in terms of establishing trust. So there follows engagement. I think what most brands want is ultimately to have the relationship with the bottle that cat has, that real close love, that you're wrapped around it, that you speak to it frequently. But reaching your customers is increasingly difficult in the fragmented society. Developing meaningful relationships so people can find products are very difficult. There's comparison sites out there all over the place, which makes it very easy for people to find prices. And people increasingly make buying decisions based on price rather than brand loyalty. So the differentials are very important, and that's where storytelling comes in terms of having that conversation, having that dialogue, which draws people back and engages them full time. The reason why people and brands want engagement is because it's effective. You know, these statistics were from a recent survey with Google and Advertising Age, and they looked at hyper-engagers, i.e. people who engage with a brand at least once a week or more, and they established that those hyper-engagers are 40% more likely to buy a product. So that is the kind of return on investment that comes from content marketing if you have that really tight niche engagement. So, you know, once you've got your processes in place, once you've got your key drivers established, the next thing that you need to do is figure out, you know, the real crisis points, the real sweet spots on the other side that you can work to that get you the maximum amplification. So I'm going to share with you a few of those sweet spots and some examples with them. The first of them is collaboration, and bringing your audience and bringing your market into your story and involving them in your storytelling. You don't have to be as literal as Spencer Tunick is and get your audience naked in your content. However, pulling people in really creates that stickability, that resonance, and furthermore, it provides amplification as well. We're in a stage right now where we have a real distribution of creativity. Just as disintermediation has meant that brands can communicate themselves, also, there's now a huge creative swell for people and users and engagers and audiences to create their own content and have their own ideas. And rather than brands having to go out there and activate it, a lot of the time it's happening by itself. And it's just a case of having the processes in place where you can capture that material and you can pull it into your process. First and foremost, you need to define what the right messages are for your brand. You need to create a shape that you want your stories to work within. And then you seed conversations, you seed engagement throughout your networks, throughout your audiences, in order that you can pull content in and you can curate it into that right shape and you can enhance your stories. There's a number of different benefits to this. First, trust. Edelman's Trust Barometer suggests that we trust each other as friends, as people in our network, as people we do business with, a lot more than we trust a CEO or a PR head or a marketing head. Therefore, if we get people, our colleagues, perhaps people within an organisation, to tell stories on our behalf, it really amplifies the trust. And secondly, engagement. We share a lot more with people in our networks than content that we've created ourselves or that we really believe in, than we do material that is just branded. So there's real benefits that come all around the pie. And I think a real excellent point in this is people are doing it. People are creating content. It's just a case of finding it and taking their creative and wrapping it into your messages. There, of course, can be risks. There are a number of recent examples. Boris Johnson is just one of them, but McDonald's is another, around creating social hashtags and seeing them to be utterly raped. So I think curation and control is important, and having messages come to you, having content come to you, and then creating it, curating it, and managing it through the process is very important. A couple of examples of how that works really effectively. First and foremost, Coca Mentos. So this is one of the earliest stages of really effective, dynamic content marketing with collaborative approach. And the first iteration of this, Coca Mentos had no involvement in at all. They just watched as a couple of guys took some Mentos, put it in Coke, went, whoa, that's cool, and then got loads of it and created massive sprays. And off the back of that, they have really thought about, okay, how can we harness it, how can we capture it, how can we capitalise on it, on the basis of, off the back of this swell, Coke's profits increased by 5%, Mentos profits increased by 15%. There's now been something like 14 million hits on YouTube of the original post that went back to 2006. And so, there's always more and more content that's now being seeded by particularly Mentos through their ad agency BBH. Recently, there was another world record attempt, and this one was held in Mexico. It pulled in 4,000 people, and it's been, shared very successfully. It's Coca Mentos en masse, right? The point is that if you get 4,000 people together, you get their friends, you get people filming it around the sides, and you take a brand and you're really engaging with quite a large group of people at the same time. However, it doesn't stop there. People have, as I say, their own creative ideas, their own energies that they wish to put out there. And once something starts, it will roll. Recently, this guy decided to take the Mentos and Coke approach and also incorporate Nutella and Durex. I've no idea why, but he did. And apologies to anybody in here who doesn't speak Italian. For me, it doesn't lose much of the story in itself, just because it's mental. But I wanted to share with you as something that becomes freeform off the back of a story.
Nuovo incredibile esperimento con la Coca-Cola e le Mentos, ma oggi grande novità, l'energia, la vitalità della Nutella, e in più come sempre utilizzeremo un profilattico, ma questa volta useremo un profilattico al mango. Iniziamo l'esperimento. Prima cosa da fare, prendiamo la Nutella e la andiamo a mettere qua nell'imboccatura, creando una specie di tappo di Nutella.
No idea what the Nutella does
che
at
se
all.
sai è fondamentale per una grande reazione. Coca-Cola, Nutella e Mentos. Bene, a questo punto il profilattico, apriamo il nostro preservativo e ci andiamo a mettere le Mentos all'interno. Non uno, non due, non tre, ma ben 5 Mentos, che dai vari esperimenti che abbiamo fatto abbiamo visto che il 5 è il numero davvero perfetto per ottenere la massima reazione possibile. Arrivati a questo punto dobbiamo sigillare bene con il nastro adesivo. Benissimo, Nutella, Mentos, ed ora lasciamo delicatamente scendere le Mentos fino alla Nutella. E attenzione, perché basta semplicemente far cadere il Mentos e inizia la reazione. Vai con la reazione, eccola, incredibile ragazzi, la Coca-Cola e la Mentos sta reagendo, record del mondo ragazzi, guardate, eccolo, record del mondo, Coca-Cola, Mentos e Nutella, record del mondo, sì, Italia!
Why? There's really no particular point around brand marketing for Nutella or Durex in this. And I've no idea what their response to this was. They probably, much like us, went, why? But my point is, storytelling will evolve and there's no way of controlling it. So the right thing to do is to capture it where it serves your purposes and to bring it into your brand. A final example, which doesn't have anywhere near the same kind of production fun, but is equally an example of things that people do with your products that you might not expect, is a cat in a shark outfit on a Roomba vacuum cleaner. Now, equally, this video was not created by Roomba. This was just somebody who had a Roomba and thought, you know what, I'm going to get my cat and I'm going to put it in a shark outfit and I'm going to put it on the vacuum cleaner. But it's these ideas that come out from nowhere. It's these creatives that you can pull into your storytelling that really take a vacuum cleaner and turn it into something else. Have you guys seen this? Yeah, it's weird but brilliant. And basically the cat just keeps going round, so I'll leave it there. And finally, if you're looking to stimulate this content yourself, if you're looking to pull it into your audiences, there's no simpler way than to just ask. And a very, very simple approach to this is Dove Farms. Dove create a range of gluten-free products, and people are always trying to figure out how to work recipes with gluten-free ingredients in the same way that they would use ingredients with gluten in, because they behave differently. So what they've done is they've just put a call to action on their website saying, add your own recipes. Share with our audiences the things that you're doing in order to build a base of content that's useful, it's informative, and it's open. You don't have to spend huge amounts of money on Red Bull style videos, and we'll come to that later. You can just put a call to action and capture what comes in, curate it, and put it in where relevant. So collaboration, it's fun, It helps people spread the word on your behalf, because once they've created the content, they'll put it out there. And it also builds trust. Another tip from me in terms of content marketing and building trust and engagement is to be visual. And there's a number of statistics from different surveys that back up this. But to give you a few just to get started with, articles that contain images get 94% more views than articles that don't. 83% of human learning is visual. 44% of users are more likely to engage with a brand if they post images. 70% of people said perception of a brand was positively altered after seeing interesting video content. It drives traffic to a website, it holds people there, it builds trust, it builds engagement. And the reason for that is, we're very visual people. We like images. There's a reason why I never do slideshow presentations with just words in. They're boring. And okay, my images are pretty random, they always are. But it's something above and beyond just reading there and getting told text. A couple of examples of great visual storytelling.